Okay, welcome to our class on moral principles. Our class is going to focus on three moral principles in particular, namely egalitarianism, libertarianism, and utilitarianism. There are more, but for our sakes, we're just going to look at these three. And in essence, a moral principle is a rule or a guideline that you can follow that will help you answer the question of what is right and what is wrong. So the first one, egalitarianism. The right thing under the egalitarian rule is whatever creates equality between people. So the idea is that everybody is inherently equal, but we live in a world where inequality exists no matter what. So the right thing to do in any case is if one person has more than another person, you make sure that the person that has the most ends up giving it away to the person that has the least. So if you take three people under the egalitarian rule, say that one person has an anthill that is this big, and another person has an anthill that is this big, and then you take and get another third person who has an anthill that is, say, this big. The idea is that you're going to take from this person and give it to this person, right? So that in the end, they all end up with anthills of the same size, right? Everybody is happy because everybody has the same amount. So taking from the rich and giving to the poor, that's the egalitarian line. So the next study that we'll take is the utilitarian. For the utilitarian, whatever is right is what is most useful to the majority, aka the greater good. So the assumption is that the majority is always what's best. So if you are in a minority, your needs might not be reflected in the needs of the majority. And so the right thing to do here is whatever makes the greatest number of people happy or better off in some way, even if you need to sacrifice the needs of the few in order to do that. So one famous way to look at the utilitarian problem is with the trolley experiment. Trolley experiment goes like this. You imagine that you, this guy, and you're standing next to a lever which you can pull, which will divert a set of train tracks, right? So you are standing next to some train tracks that go left and one that goes right. Now, if you pull the lever, the train, which is coming in this direction, will end up veering off to the right. And if you pull that lever, you will see that the train strikes dead and kills one person who is tied to the train tracks. However, if you do nothing, the train will go off to the left and will hit not one, but 5 innocent people. These innocent people, you don't know any one of them, but you know that there are 5 to the left, 5 if you do nothing, and 1 to the right, 1 if you do something. And so the question is, do you pull the lever? So the utilitarian answer is obviously yes, you must pull the lever in order to sacrifice the needs of the one in order to serve the majority. All right, so that is a trolley experiment. There are a couple more examples of this experiment, some permutations and way that this goes through and follows through. And we can take a look at a couple more of those during class, but this is the classic example. And again, just ask yourself, what would you do? Would you pull the lever? Yes or no? Why do you pull the lever? You pull it because killing one person is better than killing 5. And finally, the last issue that we'll look at is the issue of the libertarian. For the libertarian, the right thing is whatever gives the individual person the greatest degree of freedom. That is, so long as that person's freedom, they're not acting in such a way that it interferes with or limits the freedoms of other people. So the assumption here is that the greater good is less important than the ability to do whatever or say whatever you want to say. Say what you want, do what you want, so long as it doesn't hurt other people. So, for example, you're allowed to have as much money as you want, even if that means that other people are suffering for it. Or vice versa, you are allowed to, say, sleep till noon and not go to school because nobody has the right to tell you what to do. On the other hand, you know that if you don't go to school, you're not going to be able to be as useful to everybody else. So these are the three moral principles that we will be examining to greater extents during class. The egalitarian, again, the egalitarian believes that people are equal and works to create equality of opportunity as much as possible. The utilitarian, who believes that the greater good is what is always best, even if that means using an individual or sacrificing the needs of the individual to that greater good. And finally, the libertarian, who believes that the individual should be able to do what she wants to do, just so long as it doesn't limit other people's freedoms as a result. Very good.